Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. A special celebration event was held today at Cabinet Room to mark the 30th anniversary of Prime Minister Dr. Ral Gonzales as the parliamentary representative for the North Central Winwood constituency. Prime Minister Gonzales was first elected to Parliament on February 21st, 1994 as the representative for the people of North Central Winwood on the ticket of the then SVG Labour Party or the Movement for National Unity, the MNU. The SVG Labour Party and the MNU merged with the ULP on October 16, 1994. At the time of the merger, Dr. Gonzales was the ULP's deputy political leader. On December 8, 1998, he was elected as the ULP's political leader and has remained in that position since then. He served as leader of the opposition from October 1999 until his appointment as Prime Minister. On March 29, 2001, Dr. Gonzales was sworn in as SVG's fourth Prime Minister, having led the ULP to office in the general elections of March 28, 2001. He has been the longest-serving Prime Minister in SVG and CARICOM, a continuous period of 23 years thus far. At today's celebration activity at Cabinet Room included prayers and worship and congratulatory remarks from former and current members of Cabinet. Some of the male representatives shared their experience working along with the Prime Minister over the years, highlighting some of his achievements during his 30 years as a parliamentary representative.
Congratulations, Ral Gonzales, 30 years as an elected member in the House of Parliament.
I think the entire country, those people who are paying attention, must know that Dr. Gonzales revolutionized political thinking in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the 30 years that we're talking about is just part. We need to talk about what he has done for St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a result of the fact that he stirred up the patriotism and so on in St. Vincent.
I am really happy that he made that contribution. One of the lasting legacy, I would say, of the comrade is the fact that he has articulated a vision, a developmental agenda for this country that has reckoned.
As a young man who came into politics, and I look over there at the number 30 years and I ask myself, how could the comrade do that for so long? But you know, it's important. In every pot, there's always an ingredient that is important. And I listened to him this morning as he articulated on radio that one of the things that has kept him thus far is the love for the people, the love for his constituents, the love for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
30 years of service in any area is a magnificent achievement and accomplishment. It speaks to vision, yes, resilience, commitment, and a love for what you do, a love for people in particular. And I would like to join with all of our colleagues here, the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and others further afield.
I've known Ral Gonzales since 1968, when he taught at the Georgetown Bishops College. And then my first encounter with him was when I stood before this formidable lawyer in a courtroom in 1984.
The female members of Cabinet also spoke highly of the Prime Minister and his contribution to their own development. His wife, Eloise Gonzales, shared a bit on their journey together in the political arena, noting that the most striking thing she could remember is her husband's love for the people.
The love for, he had a caring heart. He always took the time to help whomever he could help along his path. And I recognized very soon that in terms of the politics, that I had to walk step and step by step with him, with the children as well, and to include them, because otherwise we would not see him. We would not. So we had, in those days, he was not allowed, his voice was not allowed to be heard on the radio. Many people would not remember that. Probably it is a long time ago for many of you younger ones. And so he decided he was going to go into every nook and cranny on the island with his speakers, his microphone, and just talk to the people. It was 3 times a week. So 3 times a week, I would load the children into the car with drinks, snacks.
Studying at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus and also in Trinidad at law school, when persons talk about leadership in the Caribbean, Prime Minister Ral Gonzales' name would be one of the first names that they would mention. And that is because he is not only loved here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but he is loved in the region, and he is loved and respected internationally as well.
So this is a testament of the character of the man and the visionary leadership and the ability that he has to spot young talent, to nurture young talent. And I remember he always said to us, he wants us to soar like eagles with our wings unclipped. So Prime Minister, thank you so much for your visionary leadership and the faith and the investment that you have made in the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, especially the young people. And that will be an enduring pillar of your legacy.
You always showed kind consideration for the people. We spoke about the different community activities we would have met at, and you were playing cricket. The different is always a love for the people. Comrade, I would like to thank you for the work that you have done for this country and the love you have shown towards the people. You have shown that you are not only a magician when I was in preschool, but the Argyle Airport is testimony of the magic that you have worked in St. Vincent. The port is also testimony of that.
Apart from being a leader and the Prime Minister, you are also a friend to us. And each of us who sit here in cabinet on a weekly basis with you, we have had the one-on-one conversations with you about different things, about life, about politics, about where we see ourselves heading into the future.
And I'm honored that I have been part of this journey with you for the last 10 years. I have learned many things, listening to you, seeing your work day by day, that strong work ethic, unmatched in my view, that boundless energy that does not seem to dissipate at all. That's something that I admire.
An emotional Prime Minister Gonzales said that his journey in the political arena was very challenging, but that he pushed forward to ensure that all of his visions and dreams can come to pass.
The journey is never easy. Some people may have it easier, but you have to apply yourself. I made up my mind long time ago that any time, if ever I get a chance to be in government, that one of the things, because I knew boys who were at my school and girls who got nowhere in life because they didn't get a secondary education, but who were very good, very educated, very intelligent people.
No access.
But the access wasn't there. That I was determined that everybody will get a chance. And once you get that chance and you go to secondary school, you'll get a chance to go to community college, which we expanded, and you'll get a chance to go to university. Everybody. Because I remember when you said that we're going to have universal secondary education by 2005 September. We were opposed by the World Bank.
Before the cabinet event, Prime Minister Gonzales was on NBC Radio, where he noted that he has worked hard to transform the lives and livelihood of people in North Central Winwood, highlighting a number of projects already done and those to come on stream in the constituency.
There's the hub in Canary Bellevue, the cultural, artistic, educational production hub. There's the center which I tell you about in Park Hill. We're going to do some renovations on the clinic in Park Hill. We bought the land already for a big health center in South Rivers. We built a temporary one because the old one was problematic. The money for that, we buy the land already from the Horn Ned family. Right now, what I just told you, what we're doing in Byra, in Chester, the chief surveyor has instructions negotiating to buy some lands because we need some more lands to distribute for people, for housing. We're doing over the Chester Health Center. Actually, in Connery, where we have some more lands to distribute at Connery, but we are distributed and people have built, but we need to make sure that the roads and the drains are all in place. We signed a contract for $4 million to put the roads and drains there, not distributing anymore until those roads and drains start to go in, so people could see. In Georgetown, there's a market which has been designed. We bought the property by Rafi Crichton. I think it's $600,000 we paid for the property. Rafi is not satisfied, so it would go to the tribunal, but we paid him whatever we had to pay, which was assessed by the chief surveyor now.
Okay.
By the valuers, the government valuers. We should be demolishing and starting pretty soon. We have done a lot of river defense work in the community, particularly along the Connery River and also at Caratal. And we have done sea defense work at Black Point. We did real top-class sea defense work in Georgetown and also at Caratal. The private sector and the cooperative sector, with our encouragement, the private sector is buzzing, small businesses buzzing, some of them by prime in the community.
The Prime Minister said despite the infrastructural developments, the most important thing for him, serving the people over the years, is the education revolution, which he said has touched every single home in SVG.
And there are different times and different circumstances where there are different things which would touch you, like when the children move into the school for children with special needs. Because they're very special. There are 23 of them in the school now. When at the Pearl-Based Center, people, mothers who used to pay $80 and $100 a month to send their children in Park Hill to a school for between 3 to 5 years.
So that's the school right
That's
here.
That's the one in Ned. Similarly, we transformed a wing and built it out in South Rivers for early childhood from 3 to 5, where people used to have to. No, if a single mother, a single parent, had to pay $80 or $100 a month, but now they have to pay $0. Immediately, you improve the quality of their lives, and because of the government program, the same thing down at Connery, same thing in Georgetown. In fact, in Byra, I asked Tyrone Burke about 2 weeks ago, because they're involved with the VinSave school, which has closed. I say, I want to see it operational. Just tell me what I require. I tell you, because he's a good man, Tyrone Burke. Say, get the numbers for me now, man, and tell me all what we need. I told the ministry, but as always, how I do these things, I want somebody else to be on top of it for me now.
Right.
So,
And at a news conference today, members of the opposition New Democratic Party used the opportunity to highlight what they deemed as broken promises by the ruling Unity Labour Party administration led by Prime Minister Gonzales. Party Vice President Sinclair Leacock said it forms part of their political strategy in which they have implemented a mechanism to capture what the broken promises made by the ULP over the last 23 years, which he said will also be highlighted on the NDP's social media pages. on the issue of national security or crime and violence, which he said is represented as a broken promise by the ULP. Leacock said the NDP can now borrow wholesale and even adopt what the ULP had in its 2001 manifesto, in which it had criticized the then NDP government for its handling of the country's crime situation.
Into decadence must be stopped as a matter of urgency. The restoration of safety, national security, peace, tranquility, respect for law and order, and the building of a drug-free society requires a renewed sense of personal responsibility. I underscore that's the conclusion of the Unity Labour Party of near 23 years ago. I think we in the New Democratic Party today can borrow wholesale, and as he would probably like to say, adopt those as our mantra. Members of the media, unbelievable proof that the Unity Labour Party speaking 23 years ago talks of broken promises, failures, and incompetence. To add salt to the wound may be different. The ULP under the rubric power to the communities in that same manifesto had this to say: our system of government, that is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is far too centralized and inappropriate to the demands and circumstances of the new century. The Unity Labour Party strongly believes that the country will not progress well unless real political power resides in the people and the local communities. We find it timely to remind the government that it is us in the New Democratic Party who have been constantly promoting the call for a Citizens Development Fund to empower parliamentary representatives and constituencies, and by extension communities, to be masters of their own destinies. They, the Unity Labour Party, have fought tooth and nail so that this does not become a reality, and have rejected it out of hand as good policy or good politics, notwithstanding its tremendous success in Caribbean countries, St. Lucia, Belize, Jamaica, to name a few.
On the issue of promoting local government and community development, Leacock said under the Unity Labour Party administration, there is the demise of some 98 civil society organizations in the country.
In office, these civil organizations in 2001, including the very much respected National Youth Council, which they today have replaced by the growing police youth clubs, and again to use their language, under the suzerainty of the Commonwealth and its self-appointed youth representatives. In speaking about power to the communities, they also had this to say: appoint or ensure the viable local communities and non-governmental organizations be built to sustain effective democratic local government. No. What have they done? They have appointed Minister of Grenadines Affairs and totally disregarded the presence, including and directly specifically, the leader of the opposition as member representing Northern Grenadines, who have their self-appointed non-cabinet member to be responsible for Grenadines affairs. How does that square with the notion of respect local governments? It is this said government that has ignored participation or involvement of elected representatives in capital project programs. Today, none of the representatives of East, Central, or West Kingstown have a clue as to the working paper surrounding the $600 million plus port development, because this is the modus operandi of the government, as they say, not to let the New Democratic Party into their title deed and sense of ownership of every square mile of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or is it every square inch?
Leacock also questioned the promise by the ULP in its 2001 manifesto to reform the SVG police force, which include placing a strong emphasis on having an independent inquiry into the structure and operations of the police force with a view to taking corrective measures to enhance its efficiency, the quality of police personnel, modernization, and accountability of the force.
I ask rhetorically only of you, the media. Are you aware of any independent inquiries into the police force? Are you aware of any of the structural changes into the police force and its operations? Do you have any ideas of these reform measures that have taken place over the last 23 years that has our police force functioning differently? Gonzales, I would remind you, listeners and viewers, has overseen the service of more commissioners of police than any leader of this country in its entire history. In fact, as he would say, since conquest and settlement. He has seen out Commissioner Crow, whom he met, Commissioner Harry, whom he also met, Miller, who he appointed, Charles Hadaway, who was never confirmed, Colin John, and now Enfield Williams. It sounds like an alphabet of commissioners, all serving a single Minister of National Security. And the end product, more of the same, an escalation in rights of crime and order in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And as to improving markedly the facilities, including forensic facilities that they spoke of 23 years ago. I ask of you, the media, listeners and viewers, do we yet have a forensic lab in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Have the conditions of work as they promised really improved? Think of what we call police beds, mattresses, bathrooms that were on show recently. The hours of work for policemen. Do we meet ILO working standards that should be applicable to even the police force? Are promotions in the force open and transparent and motivating? We understand that some cases people act as corporate up to 8 years and without pay. What about our auxiliary police force, traffic wardens, etc.? What are their terms and conditions? Are they entitled to gratuitous considerations, including pensions?
Some information now on the weather. In its 72 hours outlook, the SVG Met Services says on the southwestern edge of the Atlantic high pressure system, occasional cloud patches are converging across the islands with a weak low-level trough. Pockets of dry air limit shower activity to a few showers are however expected across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with cool conditions noticeable earlier Friday. It says a plume of Saharan dust with varying concentrations can be expected across our area, creating moderate haze across SVG by late Saturday. You're asked to be on the alert. Gentle moderate winds are expected to vary in direction from east-northeast to east-southeast, decreasing to light across our islands during Thursday. Slight moderate sea conditions are expected from 0.5 meters to 1.0 meter on the western coast and 1.0 meter to 1.5 meters on the eastern coast. Overnight Saturday, small craft operators are asked to exercise caution for reducing poor visibility in moderate haze across our islands. The buggery laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines violate people's human rights and basic dignity. This is according to lawyer and founder of the non-profit human rights group Equal Rights Access and Opportunities SVG Inc., Jeshu Abadu, who on WFM's Activated Morning program says people should not be criminalized because of their sexual orientation or how they choose to sexually express themselves. He was discussing the recent High Court ruling, which dismissed the case challenging SVG's buggery laws brought by two Vincentian men living abroad. Badu says the laws make it easier for people to feel justifiable in demonstrating prejudice against individuals from the LGBTQ+ community.
Even if you're not sexually performing an act, people still discriminate against you because they might perceive you to be or not be something, whether it's gay or bi or lesbian or whatever. Even if you're not doing the act, the people in St. Vincent are discriminate against you. These laws perpetuate prejudice, they act as social sanction, and they embolden people to feel justified in discriminating against LGBTQIA+ individuals, and they are in violation of human rights. Human rights are the rights that we are all born with as human beings. They cannot be taken away. And these rights also, some of them are entrenched in what we call our Constitution, which is basically the highest law of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. These laws, we can look at the Constitution and we can see that some of these human rights are in the Constitution. Right to life, right to liberty, freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, protection from discrimination. These laws violate human and constitutional rights.
Badu says the laws are outdated and oppressive, emphasizing that in the 21st century, persons ought to be able to live and identify as who they are without discrimination.
Make any sense whatsoever. These laws are old, meaning they're archaic, and they're draconian, meaning the punishments are very severe and oppressive for these type of behaviors. In the 21st century, people should be able to live their lives and be who they want to be and be with who they want to be with once they're consensual adults and they are not harming others. Yes, you have your religious beliefs. Yes, you have your traditions or whatever justification you might choose to hold whatever beliefs. But people also have their rights to conscience. Freedom of conscience also includes that. Me wanting to believe other things. Freedom of expression, me wanting to express myself sexually in other ways. Discrimination, not to be discriminated for those things. Having the liberty to express myself and the self-determination and bodily autonomy to do those things, etc., etc., the host of rights. So these laws are unenforced laws in St. Vincent. They are not strictly enforced apart from when it comes to issues such as male rape. Because in St. Vincent, we don't have a male rape provision. These laws are so outdated. It's really sad that Vincentians cannot be properly protected. But male rape, because it is not explicitly stated in the laws of SVG, the police or the DPP has no other option but to do legal gymnastics and try to prosecute rape under buggery or other provisions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The human rights lawyer pointed out that there are many international laws and treaties that are not being enforced in SVG as it pertains to the LGBTQ+ community, noting that it is time that the laws be modified to expressly protect persons on grounds such as sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics, including but not limited to comprehensive anti-discrimination laws.
Sorry, there's so many laws that international treaties that we aren't enforcing. Now, in terms of the position that I think SVG should take, and which is also an international position, is I think, and even recently in the cases, I think that the law should be declared unconstitutional, and I think that the laws should be modified to the extent that they do not apply to consenting adults who are committing same-sex acts in privacy. Of course, if it's a man and a little child, that is illegal, and that should remain like that. If it's a woman with a little girl, that should remain illegal. But it should not apply to the extent that it affects consenting adults who are performing consensual same-sex acts in the privacy of their own homes, who are not harming anybody, who are not doing anything to anybody. It's their own choice how they want to use their bodies and who they want to be in love with and have intimacy with. It should not be criminalized. So that is my position.
In the recent High Court ruling, Justice Esco Henry pointed out that given that the two claimants do not reside in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they lack legal standing to bring the claim. In addition, Justice Henry rejected their claim that they were forced to leave the country due to their sexual orientation, while upholding the government's claim that the laws are legitimately necessary for public health and morality. In other local news now, we heard that the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, elected a new board of directors, which is now being led by President Isola Giddens of Grenadine House. The other members of the new board are Vice President Batu Iram of Soa House, Canoan Hotel's representative Caius Brown of Mariners Hotel Resort, Rep Bianca Porter of Young Island Resort, Yachting Rep Philip Bernard of Barefoot Yacht and Charters, Dive Rep Vern Martin of Serenity Dive, Restaurant Rep Khalil Bacchus of Moonshine Restaurant, Lanto operator Nicole Gunn-Monroe of Blue Destination, Allied General Effie Corral of Beachcombers, and immediate past president of the association, Kim Halbish of Paradise Beach Hotel. In her acceptance speech, President Giddens thanked the meeting for electing her and said that she was looking forward to continuing the work of the outgoing president and board of the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association. President of the Yulupan movement, Rodney Small, continues to campaign for the inclusion of steel pan in the school's curriculum here in SVG. At the social media launch of Panorama 2024 last Saturday, Small pointed out that they are hoping by the new school year, steel pan will be included on the timetable for schools throughout SVG. Small also discussed plans to train steel pan arrangers.
Late last year, we formed a steering committee where we're going to put together a case, a proposal where we're going to present to the Ministry of Education, not only to have PAN in school, because we do have PAN in school, but we want to have PAN on the timetable where, you know, at this particular time of the day, just like science and social studies, there is PAN on the timetable. So actually, JP is actually the education officer and our executive, Mr. Tidal Webb and Jamora Francis. They all are part of the steering education committee to put together this case. So sometime this year, and hopefully for September, we would get through to have PAN on the timetable and not in school. Of course, we have different capacity building projects that are coming up in the near future. Directly after the Panorama season, we want to go straight into our Arrangers Workshop, because we believe that the Arrangers Workshop should be ongoing and not a one-off. So
Arranger of the Symphonic Steel Orchestra, Jamora Francis, said while there is a love and passion for steel pan, the Panorama competition is an expensive venture and more monies should be awarded for the participants and winner. He is appealing to the business community to invest in the steel pan and other art forms.
In spite of the fact that these prize monies are so small, bands keep coming. Because, you know, you have the love, you have the passion, you know, but it could only go on for so long. You know, we just take our bread and feed a nation. The little, some scrums. Like myself, I'm an unsponsored band. And year to year, every year you see me come with nice uniform, sounding nice, but it's because of hard work and you know, one or two friends we have in high places.
Big up Ann Jones.
Big up Miss Ann Jones. Don't jump the gun, man. Big up Miss Ann Jones. Big up all them other people in the executive. Big up. I had to big up Carnival Development Corporation as well. My workplace. And you know, I've been thriving there. It's going to be 20 years now. I've learned a lot. And because of all this integration, going to Kai Festa and all these other places, knowing people around the place, you know, you go and you beg around, you front around, and you get a little sponsor here and there.
Are you making an appeal to the business community?
I'm definitely making an appeal to the business community to inject a little bit more in PAN, in all the art forms in general, but in PAN we are struggling. All the bands here, not all of the bands that you see here have sponsored bands. But come Panorama, you will see the bands, them glowing, everybody smiling, well dressed. But it's not just because we have big money, it's because of our love for it, and because we go out and we solicit some little help, and whatever little help we get, we still smile and bring forward a wonderful product for Vincy Mass.